Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're hanging out with us today. We are going on a really fascinating, intimate journey into the mind of the rarest personality type in the Myers-Briggs system, the INFJ. Now, if you've ever taken a personality test and gotten those four letters, or frankly, even if you're just a psychology nerd like me, you are in for a real treat. We're not just going to skim the surface of basic traits here. We're going to lift the hood, decode the hidden mechanics of this unique mind, and most importantly, give you some real, actionable steps for transforming your life. All right, let's dive right into it.
Okay, I want you to be totally honest with yourself for a second. Deep down, have you always felt just a little bit, I don't know, different from everyone else? There's often this quiet, lingering feeling that follows INFJs around. You could be standing smack in the middle of a vibrant, fun group of people and still have this underlying sense that you don't quite belong. It's almost like you're tuned into a radio station that's broadcasting just slightly off the frequency everyone else is listening to. Well, if that sounds familiar, let me tell you right now, you are absolutely not alone, and no, you aren't just imagining things. The reason you feel that way is actually grounded in a pretty stark reality. Statistically speaking, you are fundamentally rare. We are talking less than 2% of the entire global population rare. Seeing this data right out of the gate is so incredibly important because it instantly validates that lifelong nagging feeling of being an outsider. Your feeling of standing apart from the crowd isn't some failure to fit in. It's literally a mathematical reality of how incredibly unique your psychological wiring is. So, what does this wiring actually look like in day-to-day life? Well, psychologically, this feeling of being out of sync stems from how you process reality itself. See, most people interact with the obvious physical world right in front of them. While someone else is just enjoying a slice of pizza and the loud music at a party, your brain is doing something entirely different. You're analyzing a friend's forced smile across the room, wondering, wait, why did they fake that laugh? What is really going on there? You process reality through much, much deeper layers of meaning. And this constant background analysis is powered by what is easily your most misunderstood trait, introverted intuition, or what cognitive psychologists call NI. Have you ever just known something was off, but you had zero logical proof to back it up? Actually, scratch that. It feels like magic, but it's not. Imagine your brain is a massive supercomputer quietly humming along in the background. It's constantly vacuuming up thousands of tiny data points, a slight frown, a tiny hesitation in someone's voice, and it automatically connects the dots to hand you a final answer as a gut feeling. You get the end result without ever having to do the conscious math. The real kicker here is how you gather all that data. It all comes down to this absolutely wild number. According to behavioral psychology, when humans express emotions, only about 7% of the message is conveyed through the actual words they use. Just 7. The rest, it's entirely body language and tone of voice. Now, while most of the world is perfectly happy taking that 7% at face value, INFJs are hypersensitive to the other 93%. So if a friend texts you, "I'm fine," but they took way too long to type it and skipped their usual emoji, boom. Your radar goes off instantly. You are reading the entire nonverbal picture. But as you probably know, reading the room like a psychic comes with a heavy physical cost. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly felt an actual physical weight in your chest? That is scientifically grounded in your highly active mirror neuron system. These neurons are what help humans create empathy. But for INFJs, this mirroring is so intense that the line between your own emotions and someone else's just completely blurs. It's called emotional contagion. It's exactly why crowded, noisy places or being stuck next to a toxic complainer literally leaves you feeling physically exhausted. You aren't just hearing their emotions. Your body is absorbing them like a sponge. Because you're constantly processing at this profound depth, it completely alters how you socialize. Think about small talk for a second, chatting about the weather or who won the game last night. For an INFJ, this isn't just boring, it feels actively draining. Your mind is fundamentally built to search for depth. You crave soul-level authenticity. If a conversation isn't offering a new, meaningful understanding of something, your brain just tags it as background noise. You'd honestly way rather stay up until 3 in the morning discussing childhood trauma or the mysteries of the universe with one good friend than mingle at some massive party. This intense wiring also explains one of your most famous and honestly most shocking traits. Let's break down the mechanics of the notorious INFJ door slam. From the outside, you probably seem endlessly patient, willing to forgive the same mistakes over and over again. But the moment you finally realize a relationship is fundamentally toxic and beyond repair, your nervous system just flips a switch. It goes straight into self-protection mode. You don't get loud or vengeful, you just permanently, quietly withdraw all your emotional energy. To outsiders, it looks ice cold, but psychologically, it is a highly rational, absolutely necessary survival mechanism. All right, let's pivot to our next section, practical growth, from exhausted to empowered. So, our first real step toward empowerment is overcoming perfectionism. For an INFJ, this usually takes the form of something called the NIT loop. This is a brutal internal psychological trap. Your intuition creates this impossibly grand, beautifully ideal vision of a project or goal. It's perfect in your head. But then, your logical thinking steps in and becomes utterly obsessed with picking apart every single potential flaw and risk. This internal tug-of-war sets your standards so unrealistically high that it completely paralyzes you. You end up procrastinating because, well, you'd rather do absolutely nothing than put out something that's just average. To break out of that paralyzing loop, you've got to realize something crucial. Your powerful intuition can only give you accurate insights if it's fed enough raw data from the real world. Your mind is an incredible, expansive universe, and man, it is so tempting to just stay locked inside it, safely predicting scenarios and planning the perfect imaginary ideal. But here's the trap. If you just stay in your room overthinking, you literally starve your intuition. You have to step out into the messy, chaotic, real world and take action to gather the experiences your brain desperately needs to thrive. I really want you to take this punchy little takeaway and write it on a sticky note for your mirror. Finished is better than perfect. Seriously, the world does not need the flawless, pristine version of your work that only lives inside your imagination. The world needs your real, tangible action. You have to allow yourself to make mistakes. You have to give yourself permission to create terrible, messy, rough drafts at the beginning. You aren't lacking the ability, you're just trapped by your own stratospheric standards. So break the cycle. Just start. Okay, the second big area for practical growth is building your true identity. Because you understand other people so deeply, it is completely natural that you crave finding someone who understands you 100%. But realistically, it is incredibly hard for anyone to fully grasp a psychological system as complex as yours. If you keep waiting around for the external world to validate you, you are always going to feel unmoored and unstable. You've got to validate your own complexity first. Once you built up that inner stability, other people's judgments won't crush you anymore. They'll just pass right by, like wind over the surface of a deep lake. Which brings us to a somewhat uncomfortable truth. You might be able to figure people out just by looking into their eyes. But listen, they do not have your mind-reading abilities. You cannot quietly suffer, keeping all your needs and frustrations bottled up, and just expect people to get it. You have to explicitly express your needs. If saying it out loud is too hard, text it, write it in a letter, whatever works. Stop making everyone play a guessing game and just hand them the instruction manual to your mind. And as you're out there interacting with the world, you absolutely must protect your emotional energy. Remember those highly active mirror neurons we talked about? Because you're processing way more subtle signals than you even realize, you burn out so much faster than other people. Disappearing to reset is not a weakness. It is a strict biological requirement. So turn off your phone, read a book, and please do not feel guilty for saying no. You naturally want to heal everyone, the classic broken wing syndrome, but you can't be the charging station for the entire world if your own battery is completely dead. When you finally master these boundaries, this beautiful cognitive reframe happens. Society loves to push the stereotype that being sensitive or dreamy makes you weak in the harsh, real world. You need to take that perceived flaw and completely flip it on its head. Your deep emotional processing, your cognitive empathy that immediately sees the root of someone's pain, your spot-on gut intuition, these are not burdens. When you harness them correctly, they are your absolute greatest strategic advantages. Your sensitivity is actually a highly tuned, ridiculously sophisticated navigation tool for success. And hey, if you ever doubt the historic power of this rare personality type, the evidence is right there. Visionary figures like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., and Mahatma Gandhi are all frequently associated with the INFJ personality. They had that exact same combination, a quiet, deeply reflective inner world paired with an unshakable, steel-core vision of justice. They didn't go out and change the world through brute force or by shouting the loudest. They led by utilizing profound empathy and rock-solid principles. That is the true, quiet power of your personality type. And this brings us to the ultimate transformation we've been building toward, When you stop hiding from your intuition, when you finally establish those healthy emotional boundaries, and when you let go of perfectionism and step out into the messy real world, you become a practical idealist. You get to keep that incredibly powerful, world-changing vision of how things could be, but now you've got both feet planted firmly on the ground, ready to do the tangible work to actually make it happen. It's the absolute perfect balance of emotion and logic. The world, especially when it feels way too loud and chaotic to even notice, desperately needs your depth, your insight, and your unique perspective. You know now that your rarity is a mathematical fact, your intuition is a literal supercomputer, and your sensitivity, it's a profound superpower. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought.